And there's that disconnect from that peace. And I have a /love /joy /understanding /generosity /gratitude. That word peace are inseparable. All of that is what I want. And this issue of fear and anger, like resentment, is the number one offender. That anger. There's so much denial going on, and what can I do about it? The denial in me.
Welcome to Aloha Speaks, home of Malama Aloha Pono with Alexander Noman.
Aloha, Alex here. And the topic being normalizing fear and anger is connected to Malama Aloha Pono as a format for reflection on basically addictions. It's addictions and relationships, and how addictions affect relationships, because that's the issue. I haven't spoken before, maybe way in the beginning, but the relationships are fivefold. There's see if I can get this, of course, significant other relationship. And then there's work relationships. There's family relationships. And then there's also administrative type relationships that can be anything, like with the bank, the IRS, at the store, whatever. That kind of relationship. And then let's not forget friends. So all relationships are affected by addictions. So I look out at the world, and because of the experience I've had in the field of addiction, I see all this normalizing of fear and anger. But it's not just, in the parentheses, I have dangerous, it's dangerous, and then I have /addictive. The normalizing of fear and anger is addictive. And then another /justification. It allows for this fear and anger, a basis of justification for so many things that are damaging, but it's justified, right? Like, it's a sickness. And it was inspired by, it's the end of the year. Even though this isn't going to drop until sometime in the first quarter of 2026, this is the day before New Year's Eve of 2025. So there's wrap-up of the year going on in the news, and there's this news anchor that was doing a wrap-up, famous, and saying there was one thing that cannot be digital, will always be only analog, and that one thing is what we need to do. And I'm being very skeptical about, wait a second, because I have a premonition of what that is. And I was so glad, even though I don't buy into religion, and she was Catholic and said, from that Catholic place, that we say in our church, peace be with you. So connect with somebody eye to eye and say, peace be with you. So I was so happy that it was like peace is the thing, absolutely, that cannot be, not even, what do they call that, the blockchain. So many things are being put onto the blockchain. It's like, that's not going to go on the blockchain. The thing, though, that I took issue with was the peace be with you, which no argument, like I couldn't wish for anything better than peace for all, absolutely. But where that peace exists for in reality is in me. And that thing, that fear and anger, when it happens, it isn't out there. It's with the issue is with me. And there, when that happens, it's not an external thing. It's something I need to contend with, and there's that disconnect from that peace. And I have a / love / joy / understanding / generosity / gratitude. All of these, with that word peace, are inseparable. That all of that is what I want. And when that fear and anger, so when I was a general service representative, it's called GSR, in Alcoholics Anonymous, I got way into it, more than most. And I learned that the history of it, and that back they had, in New York, in the old days, they had, well, they still have it, I think, but they had Class A members on the board of AA in New York City, Class A members and Class B members. So it was, people thought, well, the Class A members were the alcoholics because of the A. And the Class B were the non-alcoholics, because there were a lot of non-alcoholics that were so supportive that they were even on the board. They really helped a lot. It wasn't the case. The Class A were what we call the normies, the non-alcoholics. And the reason is because the alcoholics, like me, could not be trusted. They needed the non-alcoholics to be in the trustable positions to deal with the matters of administrative concern. So they were called Class A. They're still, I think, powerful. And those Class A members would read the book. And they would find that in the book, it applied to them even though they were not alcoholics. These things like selfishness, self-centeredness, that we think is the root of our troubles. And this issue of fear and anger, like resentment, is the number one offender. That anger, the number one. And how to deal with that anger, the question of where am I selfish and where am I dishonest, and finding out these issues of pride and the self-seeking and the fear. It's normalizing fear and anger. Fear, these driving factors. No, they said, that applies to us too, the normies. I'm so fortunate. I'm not going to get into this, but what I'm saying is that I look out and see that this is going on all over these challenges without, and that's that part of the third part of addiction, which is the denial. There's the powerlessness, the suffering, but then the denial, that there's so much denial going on, and what can I do about it? The denial in me that goes on to this day, and how that fear, especially the fear, because the fear is behind the anger. That's behind the anger. And how that anger shows up in ways that are, well, that's not anger. Yes, it is. Self-pity is anger. All of it is completely different than that peace that is inseparable from that joy. All of it in me doesn't go anywhere. I get blocked from it. Enough. Okay. What a way to wrap a year. To have some clarity. The same as any other day of the year. No different. Aloha.